One of the realities of being human is that we all wander. And I might wander a little bit more than many people, especially when I'm out walking around, especially in the woods. I might end up in a place I may not have realized I was going to end up at when I started. So sometimes we do wander physically. We do that. Sometimes we wander emotionally. Sometimes we wander spiritually. There are seasons when we know exactly where we are headed and what we are doing. And then there are seasons when we feel lost or uncertain, weary or overwhelmed. We wonder which path to take. We question our decisions. We struggle to find our footing. The Bible is full of people who wandered. The people of Israel wandered through the wilderness after leaving Egypt. But in our reading from Exodus, God reminds them that they have not been abandoned. God has carried them, guided them, and brought them to this moment. Even in the wilderness, God was present. That is an important reminder for us. Just because we find ourselves wandering does not mean God has left us. In the gospel, Jesus looks upon the crowds and sees people who are, in his words, harassed and helpless like sheep without a shepherd. I think that's a pretty striking image. These people are not bad people. They are not failures. They are simply people trying to find their way in a complicated world. Perhaps that sounds familiar. Many people today are carrying burdens that others cannot see. Some are grieving. Some are anxious about the future. Some feel isolated. Some are searching for meaning and purpose. Some are simply tired. Jesus sees them. And more importantly, Jesus responds with compassion. Notice that Jesus does not begin with judgment. He begins with mercy. That is often how God works. Before God sends us anywhere, before God asks anything of us, God first sees us and loves us and meets us where we are. But the story does not stop there. After seeing the crowds, Jesus gathers the disciples and sends them out. The disciples become part of God's answer to the needs of the world. In other words, God provides guides. God provides guides. Perhaps in our lives, throughout our lives, God often places people alongside us who help us find our way. Parents, teachers, friends, mentors, neighbors, clergy, and fellow parishioners all become guides at different moments. They encourage us when we are discouraged. They remind us of hope when we lose sight of it. They help us recognize God's presence when we cannot see it for ourselves. Many of us can probably name someone in our life who has done that. Someone whose faith strengthened ours. Someone whose kindness carried us through a difficult season. Someone who helped us find our way when we felt lost. These people are gifts from God. They truly are gifts from God. But there's another side to this story. At some point, the disciples stop being the ones who are guided and become the ones who guide. The same is true for us. The Christian life is not only about receiving strength, it is also about giving strength. There are people around us right now who are wandering. Some are searching for hope. Some are carrying grief. Some are struggling with questions they do not know how to answer. And they may never ask for our help directly. What they need may not be someone with all the answers. What they need may simply be someone who walks beside them. Someone who listens someone who encourages, someone who reminds them that they are not alone. That is part of what it means to be church. We are not called to rescue everyone. We are not called to fix every problem. What we are is that we are called to reflect the compassion of Christ. Reflecting the compassion of Christ. The good news of this gospel is that we do not make this journey alone. We're not out there all by ourselves. When we wander, God remains with us. When we lose our way, Christ seeks us. When we are weary, the Spirit strengthens us. And often, God's guidance comes through the people God places in our lives. Then in turn, God sends us to do the same for others. So perhaps the question for us this week is this: who has been a guide for you? Who has been a guide for you? And who might God be calling you to walk beside today? Who might God be calling you to walk beside today? Because the world is still filled with people searching for their way. It is. There's lots of people searching for their way. And Christ is still sending disciples into the harvest, carrying compassion, hope, and the reminder that none of us walks alone. None of us walks alone. Because God remains with us, and Christ seeks us, and the Spirit strengthens us. May we remember that. Amen.